In his book, Why I'm Not a Christian, Russell relates the experience he had as a teenager when he first read the writings of John Stuart Mill. And Mill had a profound influence upon Russell's thinking. He relates in this anecdote that going into his later teenage years, Russell believed in the existence of God based upon the simple reasoning and inference that the world, as he perceived it, required ultimately a first cause. And he reasoned causally and cosmologically back to the Creator from his observations of the creation, which is the standard approach with the use of the so-called cosmological argument, because it is a reason or an argument based upon the cosmos demanding a sufficient cause for its being. But when he was 17 or 18 years old, he read this critique by John Stuart Mill regarding causality. And Mill made the observation that if everything that is requires a cause, then not only would the universe require a cause, but God himself would require a cause. And if God required a cause, then whatever it was that caused God would likewise require a cause ad infinitum. And so Mill argued against the cosmological argument on the basis of the logical possibility of an infinite regress. That is, the idea of an infinite series of finite causes. Now, Russell considered that insight that he gleaned from Mill to be something of an epiphany. And he said that that controlled his thinking with respect to the existence of God literally for the rest of his life. So it was a philosophical argument that he heard as a teenager that turned him from a theist into an agnostic. Again, based upon the possibility that he saw for an infinite regress or an infinite series of finite causes. Now, the problem, if I may interject a brief critique at this point, is that Russell made the same error with respect to the cosmological argument that John Stuart Mill had made, and Mill passed the error on to Russell, and neither one of these great mental giants ever realized the obvious error that they were making. And the error, of course, was in their understanding of causality and the law of cause and effect. Because the law of cause and effect does not assert or maintain that everything must have a cause. Rather, the law of causality, as we've seen, declares that every effect must have an antecedent cause. And as sharp as Russell was in the application of principles of logic and mathematics to philosophy, frankly, he should have noticed the difference in definition here, and he would have seen that the classic definition of the law of cause and effect is an analytically true statement, because the statement is true by definition. To say that every effect must have a cause is the same as saying every triangle must have three sides, because an effect, by definition, is that which has an antecedent cause. And a cause cannot be a cause without producing an effect. An effect cannot be an effect without having been caused. So the law of causality is merely a formal extension of the law of non-contradiction and is a logical necessity. Now, it's one thing to say that every effect must have a cause. It's quite another to say that everything that is must have a cause, because that second statement presupposes that everything that is an effect. But the whole point of Christian theism is that God is not an effect, that he is not caused by something prior to him or outside of him, but that he has the power of existence or the power of being in and of himself eternally. And from a logical perspective, the concept of self-existent eternal being violates no rule of math or of logic. It is a perfectly legitimate, rational idea. The idea of an uncaused effect is a perfectly irrational idea, and it is falsified because it is false by definition. So it amazes me that Bertrand Russell, as sharp as he was, missed that critical distinction all of his life.